Our planet is a mysterious place, full of terrifying discoveries, unexplainable creatures, and events that keep rational people's brains on edge at all times. Science has figured out the narrative behind most of the perplexing phenomena, but there is still a lot that cannot be explained. Many strange and even terrifying situations have happened in recent years that neither science nor logic can hardly explain. But there are some scientists and researchers that are continuously looking for new answers and explanations in hopes of demystifying our fascinating planet. In recent history, a mysterious giant explosive event happened in Russia that shocked scientists all over the world. But what exactly was it, and what did probably happen? Join us in this video to find out as we explore some of the unexplainable events that happened in recent times and the theories that scientists came up with to explain those events. Number 5. The mysterious Tunguska Event. This is our planet as seen from space and marked in red as Russia. Russia, officially called the Russian Federation, is the world's largest country and claims 1/10 of all landmass on Earth. It spans across 11 time zones, 2 continents, and 3 ocean coasts. Russia is known for being a powerhouse and home to some of the world's most powerful nuclear weapons. However, this power has generated a number of problems for the country. In 1908, an intriguing case occurred. A massive explosion happened near the Tunguska River on the morning of June 30, 1908. Around 80 million trees were destroyed in this frightening explosion over the sparsely populated region of eastern Siberia. Whatever this explosion was, it ripped through the region with ease, causing significant damage. The vast bulk of the tree's branches have been wiped clean. It is also said that 3 persons perished as a result of the incident. When it comes to the cause of this well-known incident, several theories have been proposed, the bulk of which cannot be agreed upon. One of the most widely accepted explanations is that the area was destroyed by a meteorite. Surprisingly, scientists and academics have characterized this as an impact event despite the fact that no impact crater or objects have ever been found. Something that has prompted many to consider different explanations for the unusual incident. Scientists, on the other hand, have stuck to the meteorite theory, claiming that the item that caused the damage was huge. They speculated that the item disintegrated between 5 and 12 miles in the sky. When this occurrence occurred in 1908, because of this, science was not at its current level. At the time, researchers had little tools, because it took 10 to 11 years to gather information on this tragedy. The scale of the event has aided modern researchers in arriving at a more conclusive solution. Because many people in the area were religious, they decided that this occurrence occurred because their god was dissatisfied with them. According to science, numerous research have allowed them to come up with varied estimations of the size of the meteorite, ranging from 50 to 190 meters, depending on how fast the body was going as well as the size of the meteorite. Other considerations were also considered before making a conclusion. According to tests, the energy of this item was equivalent to 3 to 30 megatons of TNT. Only a few indications for such a massive occurrence survived more than 100 years later, which is unusual for events this size. Interestingly, academics claim that even larger events occurred in Earth's history. Although this event is regarded as one of the largest impact events ever documented in Earth's history. Even after more than a century, scientists believe there is still something we are missing. One NASA scientist commented on the event as follows: "A century later, people are still debating the reason and proposing several scenarios that could have resulted in the explosion. However, the widely accepted opinion is that on June 30, 1908, a big space rock about 120 feet across entered the atmosphere of Siberia and then detonated in the sky." Number 4. The Shag Harbor UFO Incident. The Shag Harbor incident occurred more than a half-century ago, but it continues to captivate believers in the unknown and mystery seekers. On the evening of October 4 in 1967, the incident occurred in Shag Harbor, a little fishing community on the Atlantic coast. Locals reported seeing a low-flying, highly illuminated object soaring through the sky towards Shag Harbor before collapsing and sinking into the sea. One of the locals who witnessed the bizarre event, Laurie Wickens, explained how he initially assumed the flying object was a crashing plane. He stated how he continued to observe the objects for about an hour, floating 1.5 miles from the shore and leaving a trail of yellow foam. On the night in question, Ralph Rohingya was co-piloting a cargo plane from New York to London and recounted witnessing a pattern of bluish-white lights slanted from upper left to lower right that he classified as a large airliner with all of its lights turned on. With so many reliable witness stories, the public's curiosity about what had fallen from the sky rose, and many people were obsessed with finding an explanation. Norman Smith was one among those people. and he recalls jumping onto a fishing boat with his father and uncle and sailing to the location where the item had crashed into the sea. They were shortly joined by the Canadian Coast Guard, who assisted them in their search for wreckage. But no wreckage was found. Divers were dispatched down the next day to investigate more, but they resurfaced with no new information. Only years later, when diver David Sweat studied the harbor's ocean floor, were underwater abnormalities in the location where the object crashed uncovered. Sweat described these anomalies as a depression in the ocean floor about the size of a perfectly circular dinner plate, with a foot-deep center. This thrilling news established that an object had crashed in this location, but it was insufficient to determine what the object was. The most prevalent theory was that the crushing item, as Wickens and Lewin had assumed, was a falling airplane. When called, the nearest Canadian Forces base said that no missing aircraft had been reported that evening. Many conspiracy theorists believe that the lack of explanations about what the flying object was is the result of a government cover-up. They claim that it is too coincidental, given a secret U.S. military installation monitoring underground and underwater frequencies for Russian submarine activity was only 30 minutes away from the crash location. In any case, no one knows for certain what the item that soared through the sky and plummeted in the ocean near Shag Harbor was. Number 3. Anomaly of the Sea of Galilee. A weird undersea anomaly appears to exist just beneath the Sea of Galilee. This odd mound was discovered in 2003 while study specialists were searching beneath the water for ancient items from the region. Following additional investigation, scholars believe the area is man-made and was formed by the hand of ancient people long ago. The mound is submerged in 30 feet of water. As a result, it's thought that the location was once above water and used as a building site. The mound itself is thought to have been constructed from a mixture of basalt boulders that were stacked into a cone form and was twice the size of Stonehenge. In more recent reports on the discovery, archaeologists have argued that the mound has similarities to ancient communal burial sites and hence could have been utilized for this purpose. Others say it was once a big ramp or a ceremonial building of some type, but it has been gradually ground down by the gentle motions of the water that surrounds it. Today, there has been no additional research into the location, and no single research specialist has been able to precisely date the construction or determine its true role during the ancient period. Let's see if this strange place is going to be investigated again in the future. We certainly hope so. Number 2. Encounters of the U-28 creature. During the early years of World War I, a bizarre monster out on the open ocean was sighted and eventually dubbed the U-28 creature. According to the stories about the beast, on July 30, 1915, a German U-boat commander named Commander Freiherr George G. von Forstner wrote a detailed report following his attack on the British steamer the Iberian, claiming that after the steamer sank, there appeared to be a large aquatic animal described as being approximately 80 feet in length and similar to that of a large crocodile. The report is quoted as stating the following: "At that moment I had with me in the cooling tower 6 of my officers of the watch, including the chief engineer, the navigator and the helmsman. Simultaneously, we all drew in one another's attention to this wonder of the seas, which was writhing and struggling among the debris. We were unable to identify the creature, but all of us agreed that it resembled an aquatic crocodile, which was about 60 feet long, with 4 limbs resembling large webbed feet, a long pointed tail and a head, which also tapered to a point. Unfortunately, we were not able to take a photograph before the animal sank out of sight after 10 or 15 seconds. Throughout the past 8 centuries, persistent sightings of a creature known as the whale eater have been made all over the world, with major sightings continuing well into the contemporary day. The creature has been described as being 43 feet long, with an elongated head, a short neck, and a crocodile-like body, 4 flippers for movement and a short tail. Sailors have reported incredible accounts of gigantic sea creatures infamous for hunting down and devouring whales of all sizes since the 13th century. According to cryptozoologists, the whale eater is a surviving member of the plesiosaurs marine reptile species, which was thought to have gone extinct 65 million years ago. The whale eater, with its crocodile-like appearance, would more than properly meet the description of the plesiosaurs and would explain the high number of sightings recorded throughout history. Furthermore, on August 13, 2012, a 65-foot whale was discovered beached on the sandy coast of St. Austell. When experts examined the whale, before any efforts to help the whale could be made, the mammal perished unexpectedly. They discovered deep gashes all across the creature's face that resembled a gigantic single bite mark, with the teeth like punctures curving uniformly into a U shape across the whale's entire face. According to one of the claims, a creature with large, long, crocodile-shaped jaws lined with big, Sharp teeth attacked the whale based on photographic evidence. Number 1. Mystery airships in 1896. Several sightings of odd cigar-shaped UFOs were reported across the United States beginning in 1896 and lasting until 1897, almost a decade before the Wright brothers' maiden flight. These mysterious airships were larger and faster than anything previously known. The initial sighting occurred during the winter of 1896. On November 17th, a light was spotted slowly floating over the Sacramento night sky, with strange sounds heard as it went overhead. The mysterious light resurfaced on the evening of November 21st and was afterwards spotted over a half-dozen cities, including San Francisco and Oakland, by hundreds of witnesses. Soon later, other unidentifiable airships were spotted at the outskirts of Springfield, Missouri. One was seen to have crashed to the ground. It was 20 feet long, 8 feet wide, and driven by 3 massive propellers. An on-the-spot witness approached the ship and encountered its 2 pilots. They appeared human, but their language was not of this earth. They attempted to speak with difficulties, attempting to determine the pilot's origins. They eventually pointed skyward and said something that sounded like the word Mars before hastily returning to their airship and soaring high into the sky, leaving observers extremely perplexed. These strange objects would also be the first accounts of alien abduction to be reported. The first occurred in April 1897, when a mysterious airship hovered over a farmer's cow corral. Closer inspection revealed that a cable from the blimp had roped up a cow, which was struggling to break free after becoming entangled in the pen's fence. The gang attempted unsuccessfully to release the cow, but the fence itself was ripped out of the ground, leaving the ship, cow, and part of the fence to gently rise into the air and sail away into the sky. Surprisingly, the airships weren't simply seeking animals. They also tried to take people. It happened on November 19, 1896. 2 days after the initial sighting of a mystery airship over Sacramento. H.G. Shaw, a U.S. colonel, was driving his buggy across the countryside near Stockton when he arrived across what appeared to be an airship that had landed. Shaw characterized it as having pointy ends and a silver exterior with no characteristics other than a steering rudder. The ship was roughly 150 feet from end to end and 25 feet in diameter. To Colonel Shaw's surprise, 3 thin 7-foot-tall extraterrestrials emerged from the craft, each emitting a weird warbling noise. Shaw's buggy was apparently checked before the entities decided to violently force him into their vessel. Fortunately, the stocky, well-built soldier outweighed the thin, lanky beings, and the aliens immediately gave up, running back to their spacecraft and speeding out of sight, leaving Colonel Shaw perplexed below. Tell us what you think about these mysterious events and your possible explanations in the comments below.